Hello and welcome to this DAC presentation. My name is Craig Johnson. I'm Vice President of Cloud Business Development at Cadence Design Systems, and it's a pleasure to talk with you today about the Cadence Cloud in 2020. When I think about DAC, I really think of it as an important milestone for us. In fact, I consider this to be the third anniversary of the Cadence Cloud. Some of you may recall that it was back in 2018 at DAC in San Francisco when Cadence first launched the Cadence Cloud portfolio. Nicely followed up in October by TSMC's announcement of their virtual design environment. We later, in April of 2019, announced the Cloudburst platform. And in May, Samsung Foundry announced their Safe Cloud platform, which allows Samsung IP to be used in a Cadence managed environment in the cloud. Last year at DAC, our significant announcement was the introduction of the Passport Partners program. And what I thought would be interesting today is to give a little bit of a recap of what's happened since last year. The place to probably start is with the customers. One of the benefits of having been out early in the cloud is that Cadence has had many conversations with our customers about their intent and interest in the cloud. I personally have probably been in more than a few hundred of these conversations, and these are the typical concerns and questions that I get consistently. The first few relate to security. Can I securely access the cloud? What about my data? The next few get into more of the economics of it. How much will this actually cost? And as I do that, what happens to my existing environment, both technically and economically? A common concern is really the complexity of the cloud relative to the skill set of the IT team that's managing the internal environment. Can that group handle it is a common question that we hear. When you think about the cloud and going to use the cloud, there is some concern about getting locked into a single cloud vendor. Oftentimes, the software that a customer is wanting to use in the cloud may not have been tested or proven in the cloud, and they always want to know that they're going to be successful. And finally, a common concern is to know what's happened with others who've traveled the road ahead of them. No one really wants to be the first to try something, so learning from history is important. The good news about using the Cadence Cloud is that you'll be far from the first. We've got many customers. So those are the concerns that we've heard, and what maps nicely to those concerns is the holistic platform that Cadence is providing. We took the perspective that a customer should be able to select the model that works best for them and aligns best with their particular needs. And we think of the world through the customer's eyes by saying whether a customer wants to manage their own environment or whether they want some Cadence assistance in doing that. And depending on where they fall on those two issues, they can pick a solution that makes sense for them. For those that are going to do it on their own, we have the Cloud Passport model, and we have some partners to help them in that if they so choose. If their interest is having some assistance from Cadence, we can do that in a number of different ways. On the software side, we can do it with our cloud-hosted design solution, a full cloud environment, 100% in the cloud. The customer doesn't have any need for local IT or computer systems, and we can handle and set that up in AWS or Azure. The other solution is more for hybrid cloud environments, those instances where a customer wants to maintain their current environment but add to it some additional cloud resource that is managed, set up, and maintained completely by Cadence. That environment is also available on AWS and Azure, and all of these environments are approved for TSMC VDE as well as Samsung Safe Cloud. Other IP and Foundry partners are also supportive of their IP and PDKs in our cloud environments. The final type of Cadence managed solution is something we're calling the Palladium Cloud. Palladium, as most of you know, is a hardware system, and as such, It's optimized to help with the verification of these complex ICs and systems. One of the challenges with using emulation is that the systems themselves will often need to be used at 100% capacity for certain periods of the project, and maybe not as much during other periods of a project. While that's not an issue for large companies that have multiple projects in flight and can optimize the load on these Palladium systems, it can be a challenge for smaller companies or companies who've yet to embrace hardware emulation to use it. And so by having a cloud offering, these companies can purchase the amount of capacity that they require for their project and use it during the periods of time where it's required and not be using it when they don't need it. And that has financial impacts that are really beneficial to the customer. So that's what our portfolio looks like. And what I think is really quite remarkable is since 2018, when we first announced this, we've now had more than 100 customers. We announced this back in February and had achieved it sometime in 2019. So the fact that it's a proven portfolio should give customers and those contemplating using the cloud a lot more confidence. You're not the first to go down any of these paths, and Cadence can help you be successful in whatever you choose to do. Now, I mentioned the Cloud Passport Partner Program. This is something we announced last year. And when we announced it, we had 3 commercial members and 2 academic members. Nimbus Services, Rescale, and Scala Computing are commercial partners. Europractice and CMC Microsystems are partners with us for academic institutions. So a reminder of what this program is. The idea is that a customer who decides to go to the cloud on their own may not want to do so 100% with their internal IT teams. They may require some assistance. So by having access to these passport partners, our customers can have a proven path to use the Cadence tools in the cloud environment, and it can be a fast and easy way for them to adopt the cloud. Some customers have complex flows and specific requirements that are different enough that using an out-of-the-box solution from Cadence may not be appropriate, and these partners can often provide some customization that wouldn't otherwise be possible. These vendors give the customers an opportunity for a multi-cloud solution and have specialty services available in areas like ITAR and for the academic world, as I mentioned. So that's what the Passport Partner Program is, and I'm excited to tell you that we do have a new member joining this program, a company called Nimbix. They were founded in 2010. They have a purpose-built platform to enable high-performance cloud computing. They've got thousands of users. They're a global company, and they've taken a new emphasis in IC design. And as part of this, they will work closely with Cadence and Cadence customers to help these customers get an easy experience to onboard in the cloud. So I want to welcome Nimbix to the Cadence Cloud Passport Program. Good, so that happened in March actually, and you may have seen a press announcement subsequent to it. Let me talk for just a minute about the hybrid cloud use model. This one is very popular in terms of interest, but it's also quite challenging in terms of implementation. Things like security, both in access and IP protection. The management of data is much more complex in a hybrid cloud solution than it is in a fully on-prem or an all-cloud implementation, because a customer needs to worry about the coherency of data that may be existing in 2 places at the same time, and also the transfer of that data needs to be carefully managed. They have to make decisions on the workflow. Sometimes an on-prem machine is a better choice than a cloud-based machine. And oftentimes that's not the case. So a customer needs to be aware of when and how to make those choices. License management is important. Make sure that the license is in the location where the performance won't be impacted and that there's sufficient licensing to allow the peaks to occur. And finally, there needs to be some level of use policy implemented, and that's typically done by the CAD department. So we thought about all of those things, and there are many nuances to each of them. But in general, we find that the Cloudburst platform is a great way to overcome a lot of those concerns and challenges that I've listed on the left-hand side. It's the simplest way to be using a Cadence tool in the cloud. It takes no IT setup. We've got the high throughput file transfer technology. It works with all of the Cadence products, and as you've seen us announce, increasingly more of our portfolio has not only been optimized for performance, but it's been accomplished through parallelization, which is ideal for the cloud. And that you'll see us label products as cloud ready for that reason. And importantly, meeting the Foundry partner security requirements is essential. So with that, I just wanted to remind users of what this experience is like. It's web-based, so there's no need to have any local software installed. The user will access this environment securely, multi-factor authentication. They can choose to manage files, run the browser so that it looks just like a Unix terminal. They can run it like an X client to do all of the graphical work that they need to. And there's mechanisms inside to look at the compute that's been allocated, both by host, by user, by type. So a lot of fine-grained visibility delivered in a very simple to use fashion. And I wanted to mention that because there are a couple of announcements that we've made. Some of you saw recently that we announced a collaboration with TSMC and Microsoft around design timing sign-off and extraction using the cloud. The press release came out on June 15th and includes some additional details about the work that was done. And I just want to take a few minutes and tell you a little bit about what we set out to do and what we learned. The collaboration was important because we wanted to make sure that it was a real world scenario. And TSMC led the way in helping identify the use models that could explore two different questions. The first question was, what can we do on the cloud to improve throughput and increase the speed with which a design can make it through from beginning to end? And the second was, what are the cost implications of doing that? And are there optimizations that can be made for each? So we used advanced TSMC technology. We used the Cloudburst platform that I just described, running on the Microsoft Azure infrastructure. Microsoft provided access to some exciting new technologies that are available in the Azure cloud around storage and networking, as well as some high performance compute VMs that were utilized. We looked at timing analysis with our Tempus offering and extraction with our Quantus offering, and it was exciting to see that there's opportunity to optimize in either domain that we sought out to prove, both from a cost perspective and from a throughput perspective. The tools demonstrate excellent scaling. There's ways to select machines to either drive performance higher or reduce the overall cost. The details about the work are captured in a white paper that's available from TSMC. So we're excited about that. If a customer wants to repeat this type of work, the beauty of the Cloudburst platform is that we can set that up and have it ready to use in just a few days, and you can be duplicating these results on your own. So that's very exciting. That happened in early June, and we invite you to investigate a little bit more on that. The last thing I wanted to mention is an announcement that also happened in mid-June. The Samsung Foundry announced a new cloud platform of their own. You can go read this press release, but I just want to call out a few of the interesting elements of it. The first thing that you'll see is that the cloud platform itself is powered by Rescale. You may recognize Rescale from the earlier slide where we talked about the Cadence Passport Partner Program, because Rescale was one of the founding members of that program, and they work closely with us and are ready to deploy Cadence tools in Rescale-based environments like the Samsung Foundry Cloud. The announcement includes Cadence support with our software, and a particular example that was proven by design services partners of Samsung called Guion Chips. And they were able to take our Innovis implementation system and show a 30% reduction in run times by using cloud resources. So that's a real world example of an application that typically you don't think of as parallelized, but that could still benefit from the cloud. And that's done by selecting the machine that's of the right scale with the right memory and optimizing that selection and getting the results that were delivered. So we're excited that this is there. We now have a number of ways that customers can use the cloud. They can find the solution that makes sense for them and work with the partners that they want to. It's all about the flexibility. We're happy with the cloud portfolio. If you're interested in fast deployments, painless adoption, and proven solutions, this is the platform for you. We're really excited to see the success of the Cadence Cloud continue to grow. One thing I do want to do is invite everyone to join us at Cadence Live coming up in a few weeks in August. We're going to have a cloud track as part of that presentation of the event with 6 30-minute tracks that will happen between 9:30 and 11 and 1:30 to 3 on August 12th. So check back at the Cadence Live website to see the schedules, and please plan on joining us. You know, it's going to be really exciting. It's a virtual event, but the experience you'll have will be much like what you would have on site. This is a representative graphic of what we envision. It may not look exactly like this, but you'll have the same idea of showing up into the lobby of a big exhibit and then having many options to go explore and choose what's interesting to you. So thank you for listening to that. I think we have a few minutes to take some questions and look forward to hearing from you and hearing what's of interest to you. So thank you so much, and let's go to some live questions.